teenager. Was running up to 6 feet tall, and I weighed about 145 pounds or something. So I was a little insecure about being all skin and bone. And I started strength training to try to put on a little bit of weight, muscle mass. And that soon became like part of my lifestyle and something I became passionate about, and it was sort of the way I live. At that time I started getting into powerlifting and heavy lifting, and in my teenage mind I thought I was like immortal. Right? But life proved me wrong, and just before I turned 18, I was on my way to a road trip to Montreal with a few buddies, and the tire in the car blew out in the back of the car. And before I knew what was happening, the car was rolling into the ditch. This is on the 401, so we were going over 100 kilometers an hour. Boom, the tire blew. So somewhere along the way, I was jettisoned out the window of the car and thrown into the ditch. And then when I landed in the ditch, I just, first of all, I was like, okay, am I alive, or is this what heaven looks like? And then
or hell.
Because that was, heaven would suck if that's what it was, yeah. But then I realized how much pain I had in my lower back. So I'm wiggling my toes. I read somewhere, you can't move it. And I could move my toes, and I could feel my legs, and so, okay, well, maybe I'm not paralyzed, Meanwhile, my buddy is in the driver's seat looking back, is everyone okay? And Josh isn't there. And he walked up to me and asked me if I was okay and everything, and I looked up, and I instinctively put my hand out and said, help me up. And he's like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. And I was like, no, and I grabbed his hand and I pulled myself up, and he helped me over to the car. Which apparently I shouldn't have done with extreme back pain after the car accident. Within minutes, an ambulance was there. They backboarded me out of the back of the car and brought me to the ambulance, to the hospital. Now, along the way, they were really cool, and actually this parlayed into later on. I went through college for emergency medical care attendant, so I became a level 1 paramedic for a couple of years before I got into training full-time at university. So that was a very influential experience in my life. The paramedics were awesome. But when I got to emergency, the doctor comes in after taking x-rays and looks at my chart and looks at me and shaking his head. And I said, am I going to be okay? You guys had, you did a full assessment. What's the deal? And he said, no, you're not going to be okay. Your back's broken. And he walks out. So I thought I was a tough kid, but I started tearing up, and I'm like, okay, would I be able to walk? Like, as long as I can at least kind of walk and get around, maybe I'm not going to be able to lift heavy, but I'm going through my whole life reassessing everything, right, from that point forward. And then the nurse comes in within a short time, and I ask her the same thing, and I'm all tearing up. I'm like, am I going to walk normally and stuff? And she laughs at me, right? I'm thinking, what is this hospital? Is this like House of Horrors? She's laughing, and she's like, no, you've got a compression fracture. It's like old ladies will get it like falling down on the stairs. It's a couple of vertebrae are compressed. There's no nerve damage. You'll be fine. You'll be totally fine. So thank God. Later on in the rehab process, the doctor's saying, okay, bed rest, corset. No, we're not going to do surgery. Just let it heal. But no heavy lifting from now forward. No deadlifting, no squatting, none of that stuff, right? And I'm like, really? And then in the same breath, he says, but thank God you were lifting heavy and training, deadlifting and squatting, because that's what saved your back. It's all that strength. Okay, that doesn't make sense. That what saved my life, you're telling me not to do anymore. So that got me on a journey of discovery where I started studying as much as I could about strength training, how to use it correctly, what kind of strength exercises will produce the best benefit or effect on the body. And from there, I got my certification as a personal trainer. I went to university for kinesiology at the University of Western Ontario, and started learning about muscle activation from some guys here that do muscle activation techniques, like power isometrics for stabilizing. And now I started my own business, online business, and I'm starting to do presentations and seminars. So it's only now that I'm actually realizing how much there is still to learn, right? So when you learn a little, you think you know everything, and when you start to learn a little bit more, you realize, I don't know anything. Right? So it's an exciting journey of discovery.